You're in a conversation and someone says,
Wait. Someone speaks to me. Ew. No. Why would I even allow a conversation to happen? That involves those horrible people things? No thanks. I would rather get into a screaming match with my cat. Meow. Meow. Meow.
Christians are so hung up about sex. Why is it such a big deal to them?
That is a fun question, and most certainly a topic I am going to be able to really weigh in on. I am an expert on doing a sex after all. I've done it like several times and everything. I know. You're all impressed. I won't continue to brag and make you all super goddamn jealous.
What would you say?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, they do seem awfully hung up on the topic. And they won't say it, but it's obviously a control thing. I mean, imagine having another thing in your life, like, I don't know, which grocers you've shopped at, that decided it had any right to say what two consenting adults can do at 2 a.m. when I'm really tired, but go on then, might as well. It's just weird to exert that kind of control over another person for effectively no reason.
Before you can know what you should do with something, you have to know what that something is for.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's loads of things that you can guess the function of just by looking at it. And even if you don't get the correct function, that doesn't mean that it's not going to do the job that you need it for. I mean, there's an old adage along the lines of everything can be a hammer. It's just some are better hammers than others. There's a penis joke in there somewhere. I'm sure of it.
For example, I used to love to look at the tools in my grandpa's garage.
You used to love to look at your grandpa's tool? Too much information, mate. You really might want to keep that to yourself. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I get it now. You mean equipment. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. What was I thinking about? Nothing, don't worry about it, I'm not a moron.
But he wouldn't let me just play with them however I wanted.
God damn it, if that just isn't the perfect allegory for this topic. And I'm pretty sure they didn't do it on purpose, which makes it all the funnier. Yeah, I'm very glad that your grandpa didn't let you play with his tools. That was very responsible of him.
Because he knew I might break them, or something else, or myself.
No. In all seriousness, he was 100% worried about you breaking all his shit. Do you know how frustrating it is when some little dipshit breaks into a part of the house they shouldn't be in? One assumes the garage was locked, and starts wrecking all your toys, I mean important work equipment. It's like, if I break something I own, I'm mad. I get pissed off at myself, but ultimately, it was my own fault and I get over it. But if someone else breaks my stuff, by God, that is infinitely more aggravating. You should take better care of other people's stuff than you do your own. Derek. No, I'm not bitter, and you still haven't replaced my copy of Final Fantasy VII, you disc-scratching bastard!
He would explain to me what they did by describing what they were for.
Are you sure he wasn't describing the other thing? Because that's almost exactly what it looks like, at least from a purely scientific perspective. You see, when two people love each other very, very much, or a bit, or are just really bored, they smash their bodies together like they are literally trying to destroy each other. And that's where babies come from. Ah, I make such a good educational YouTuber.
Everything that's created has a purpose.
I think you will find that my jingle boogie farter was very much created and has absolutely no useful purpose whatsoever. In fact, if you think that you are being clever by saying that its purpose was to have no purpose, then it will disappear in a puff of irony, never to be seen or heard of again.
Jackhammers are for breaking up rock or pavement.
Ugh, it's always pounding and smashing and bashing with you people. You are obsessed, aren't you? That is some grade A repression trying to break through to the surface there. It's not healthy. You don't need to see a therapist. That or, get some wink wink nudge nudge say no more, know what I mean.
YouTube is for sharing and watching videos.
You really don't seem to know what anything is for. YouTube is for getting into arguments with strangers about things that probably don't matter in the grand scheme of things. I mean, that's what I use it for, and what I use things for is their only use, and anyone doing anything else is a degenerate and should be fired into the sun.
And a refrigerator is for keeping food cool.
Right, joking aside, all these things do have primary purposes, obviously. It's the thing they are generally most used for. But they also have side uses that are generally similarly or slightly less useful, but still useful nonetheless. Like how I use my fridge to store my underpants. Nothing like a brisk chill down there in the morning. I am joking, of course. I don't wear underpants.
The same principle applies to sex.
Oh, right. So sex must be for fun then, because that's generally what happens when you do it. And I guess a side effect is that baby thing that happens sometimes, but only really has a few days out of the month where it can happen. Awesome. Thanks for letting us know that we can have as much of it as we want according to your own metric. Ace.
The only way for us to know how we should act sexually towards others is to first answer the question, what is sex for?
We've already established this. Fun, obviously, and that's not forgetting that same-sex couples don't even have to worry about getting the number one worst STD, the pregnant. So that's even less of the time that people are making babies. And then there's people who just can't have kids, so that's another weighing in the favour of it's for fun. Damn, this is the most sex-positive Christian group I have ever experienced. Awesome.
Once we know what sex is for, we can know how to experience it as God intended for it to be experienced.
I don't really understand why he would care. That's like having an ant farm and being bothered by the way that your ants are doing it. Like, who cares as long as they're doing ant stuff? What is the point of ant farms anyway? Is it just ant porn? Because that's a bit weird. No judgments. Just stop it. It's weird and I'm judging you.
So the next time someone asks you why Christians care so much about sex,
I'll tell you what you should actually do. Just tell them to mind their own goddamn business. Literally. It should be, I don't ask you about why you're such a filthy sinner who hates God and eats babies. You don't need to ask me why I'm such a prude. Get a life.
explain that it's because God created sex for 3 important purposes.
Okay. Just slow down there. I mean, I'm not going to go into the but God not real territory, and that even if he did real, reproduction strangely came to be without his help, and there are even ways of doing it without aforementioned body smashing, but look at those reasons. I'm going to let them get to them, but that last one is just, God invented sex to point to the union we will have with him in heaven. God is going to screw you all, even more so than he already does.
First, God invented sex for procreation.
So that would seem like a good reason on the surface, but here's the thing. Sex is really bad at making babies. Any couple who has regular intercourse is going to make relatively few babies. So much like everything else God invented, it's scarcely even fit for purpose. If you had an oven that could only cook things properly 1 times in 10, you would never freaking use it. It's weird that God, as an infinite creator being of super big brain smarting powers, is just so bad at absolutely everything he does. Like, damn.
Sex makes babies.
Only when you really mess it up. Like I said, it usually doesn't. That's probably why it feels so good. Because if it didn't, we wouldn't do it, even if you wanted kids. Could you imagine doing something that made you feel like you're gonna have a heart attack several times a month on the off chance you might get a baby out of it? Christ, I'm unfit. Don't worry, I'm working on it.
Right at the beginning of the Bible in Genesis 1,
God porks a pineapple and that creates all life. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, that sounds about as plausible as anything else in the Bible, and at least it would be more interesting. Can you imagine you're reading along and then BAM! Pineapple porn. At the very least, that would keep your grandparents awake on a Sunday, eh?
God creates humans as male and female and tells them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it.
And then immediately kick them out for some reason. One might think he pulled that crap on purpose. Also, did he actually tell them how it works? Because I would love to see how that conversation went down. Now, you see, you put your... Well, I don't have a name for it yet. I haven't come up with a name for that either. You know what? Just get out. I'm not ready for any of this. And that's the real story of Genesis.
This is both a blessing from God and a command. That's right. Having sex and making babies is actually a command.
God commands thee to bang! But not in the fun way. And don't do it unless you have some completely unnecessary legal document. And don't do it with people that I have arbitrarily decided you're not allowed to. That is a lot of stipulations to this command. You know what? While I appreciate the basic command, I'm going to have to ignore pretty much everything else. Okay? It's none of his business anyway.
Sex is a procreative act.
This is true even when a child does not result.
That is literally the opposite of true. And I absolutely love the fact that you had to record that after the fact, because you were like, shit, what if someone realises that sometimes, read most of the time, sex doesn't actually make the babbas? But no, if sex doesn't always make babies, then it's not always a procreative act, especially since them cunning little humans decided that they would like to be able to have the fun part without the quote-unquote blessings. And don't get me wrong, I'm a father and I love my kids. But if I had at least one kid for every single time I had sex, I would have like millions of kids. And I just couldn't cope.
Some couples aren't able to have kids.
Oh, that's why you did this. You remembered that some people can't have kids and realised that this whole thing made you sound like assholes. I mean, it still does, but somehow that actually makes it worse. Which I frankly love, but damn, not a good look for you. You're right.
Yet when they are sexually active, their bodies unite in a way that is oriented toward procreation, even if the woman doesn't become pregnant in that act.
What the hell does that even mean? That was some ultra-tier gibberish. I mean, for starters, you do know that there are other ways of doing the deed, right? I am financially incentivized by YouTube not to talk about specifics, but you know what I'm talking about, right, everyone? Ear stuff. So kinky. But even without that, that's just nonsense. Like, there are a lot of things that have to be going on for that to even be close to true. And that is not always going on. Really, someone needs to go back to sex education classes. Jesus Christ. No, that wasn't an expletive. I mean, Jesus needs to learn this stuff so that he can pass it on. Y'all are ignorant as hell. Except they have good sex education in hell, so I don't even know anymore.
Because sex has the potential to create new life, it is one of the most powerful acts that human beings can do.
I beg to differ. For one, all animals do it, so that's just like so beyond powerful and more towards mundane. Secondly, humans have these wonderful things called bombs. I would like to see some couple poop out more babies in a lifetime than I can remove with a single well-placed stick of dynamite. Bombs 1, babies 0. 'Cause I blew them all up. Yes, I am freaking evil. That's kind of my shtick.
This means that sex is a means to a greater end. It is not just an end in and of itself, as it is often treated today.
Look, I'm not going to go too far down this particular path, but we literally have more humans now than we can feasibly shake a stick at. So maybe it being treated like something other than purely for baby making is a good idea. I mean, I only have the one stick and my arm is getting really tired, so you'd be doing me a favour.
Second, God invented sex to create oneness between two people. One of the most powerful aspects of sex is its ability to bond people together.
And it has the amazing counter ability to tear them apart. Not as good as dynamite, but arguably more destructive. Yeah, it has those properties because of the hormones that are released into the body, likely in order to make the pair stick together to raise the babies and make more of them. However, that's got absolutely nothing to do with any god that wishes to make claim to it, and everything to do with evolution. So nice try, but you don't get to have it.
Genesis 2:24 says that a man should leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh.
My goodness, that sounds horrifying. That's like the end of Inside or something. Spoilers, but this. Yeah, no thanks, I'm never having sex again. And that's totally my choice.
When a couple has sex, something changes in their relationship. They have entered into a deeper unity that is not only spiritual, but also emotional, relational, and even biochemical.
It is entirely biomechanical. All those other things come from the chemical component. Our interpretation of those feelings is what gives them greater or lesser significance. The fact of the matter is, No matter how spiritual getting a good railing makes you feel, it doesn't actually make it spiritual.
Even after the physical act of sex, there's a degree of unity that remains, and it's designed to be lifelong.
I would absolutely love to see your studies backing that one up, especially since the only thing that seemed to be keeping a lot of couples together was fear of some sort of religious repercussions. But since that has become less important, people have been much more willing to let go of bad relationships. If it was designed to be lifelong, then it would be regardless. It's almost like you are talking some weapons-grade horse shit.
God created sex to be both an expression of and a vehicle for giving the other person your whole self. It's designed to help a man and a woman bond together for life.
And yet it fails so much. There God goes again, being shit at everything he ever set out to do. Honestly, if I were him, I would start blaming this stuff on someone else. What's that Holy Spirit do these days anyway? Yeah, just say that he messes it all up, and you are distancing yourself from his toxicity. That's a good plan.
Third, God invented sex to point to the union we'll have with him in heaven.
Right, finally, this is the one I was looking forward to. Here's hoping it's as utterly ridiculous as it sounds.
In Ephesians 5, the Apostle Paul tells us that marriage has existed since creation to point us toward the union between Christ and the church.
That's weird, because it doesn't seem to be in the beginning at all. I mean, Adam and Eve get created, but they don't get married. One almost thinks that something like that was more retconned backwards into the Bible and people just pretend it was always there, even though God doesn't appear to mention it at that point. Weird.
At the very beginning of the Bible, there's a wedding between Adam and Eve.
Well, that's a fucking lie. Have you read the Bible? Because that's not in there anywhere, unless you have a special version which... Oh, I know what happened here. You're working off of the Baby's First Bible, where they are like, oh yeah, of course Adam and Eve totally got married. It would be stupid if that didn't happen, when we bang on and on about it. That also explains your education level in general. You never did get past those ages 4 books, did you? Oh, that's a pity.
And at the very end of the Bible, we're told of a wedding that is going to happen between Christ, who is the groom, and the church, who is the bride.
So if we take everything that we have learned today about weddings being important because sex is important, then what you're telling me, at the end of God's story, he's going to watch his son shag a church. Marvellous.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the...